I understand that the science says that vaccines prevent death, but I'm triple vaxxed, still got COVID. You're triple vaxxed, still got COVID. Why is the president still referring to this as a pandemic of the unvaccinated?
Well, I think, Peter, there's a significant difference between, and you just experienced this, and not to expose your public health experience, but I can speak to mine as well. I had been triple vaxxed. I had minor symptoms. There is a huge difference between that and being unvaccinated. You are 17 times more likely to go to the hospital if you're not vaccinated, 20 times more likely to die. And those are significant, serious statistics. So yes, the impact for people who are unvaccinated is far more dire than those who are vaccinated.
Will the president update his language at some time to be more reflective of the fact that people who are triple vaccinated are catching and spreading COVID?
I think the president has said, as have we a number of times, that there will be breakthrough cases. There will be people who get COVID here at different media organizations, at companies around the world, around the country, who have been vaccinated. But there is a significant difference between being hospitalized or dying and being vaccinated with more mild symptoms.
And then
Amazingly wrong information.
So I cannot find them. Our office cannot find them. Where would they be if they're public knowledge? Where?
It is totally accessible to you if you want it.
For the public. Is it accessible to the public?
To the public.
Great. We look
You
forward
are
to reviewing it.
totally incorrect.
Well, we
Senator
look forward to
Marshall,
reviewing it.
Senator Marshall, Dr. Fauci has answered you. It is public information, and he's happy to give it to you if you would ask. Senator Moran.
What a moron.
Chairwoman, thank you. I know this has been talked about. I've watched a bit of the hearing from my office this morning and into this afternoon, but would you highlight for me, I suppose this is for Dr. Woodcock, lots of funding, I think adequate funding.
Last week, President Harris and I stood in the United States Capitol to observe one of those before and after moments in American history. January 6th insurrection on the citadel of our democracy. Today, we come to Atlanta, the cradle of civil rights, to make clear what must come after that dreadful day when a dagger was literally held at the throat of American democracy. We stand on the grounds that connect Clark, Atlanta University, Morehouse College, near Spelman College, the home of generations of advocates, activists, educators, and preachers. Young people, just like the students here, who have done so much to build a better America. We visited the sacred Ebenezer Baptist Church and paused to pray at the crypt of Dr. and Mrs. King and spent time with their family. And here in the district, as was pointed out, represented and reflected the life of beloved friend John Lewis. In their lifetimes, time stopped when a bomb blew up the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham and murdered.
This is all really about the divide in our country right now and how you handle it. Our country's also divided over how to handle the coronavirus. And it's sort of a glaring visual that many of the reporters here have masks. You all don't have masks. I know it's a personal choice. I'm just interested in why you all decided to sit together without masks. And we do know that COVID is going around here in Capitol Hill. We know that. So I'm just interested in your decision.
Well, listen, I think there's been wild hypocrisy from the Biden administration when it comes to COVID policies, whether mask mandates, where Joe Biden rightly said we shouldn't have mandates, whether vaccine mandates, where Joe Biden said we shouldn't have vaccine mandates. As far as I know, everyone here has been vaccinated, been double vaccinated, been boosted. And at some point, look, I do know Dr. Fauci's been all over the map on it. He said, yes mask, no mask. He said, oh, I lied to the American people because they couldn't handle it. You know, at some point, the American people ought to be able to exercise their own freedom and make their decision. If you want to wear a mask, God bless you. You can wear a mask for the rest of your life. That's your choice. But other people ought to be able to have the right and choice not to wear a mask. And by the way, on the question of hypocrisy, you just asked, you people at the podium are speaking without masks. Just once, I'd like to see a reporter say to Joe Biden when he stands at the damn podium in the White House without a mask, Mr. President, why aren't you wearing a mask? Just once, I'd like to see you say to Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, when she stands at the podium with no mask, Ms. Psaki, why don't you have a mask? The questions are only directed at one side, and I gotta say, the American people see the hypocrisy.
I said on previous pressers here from the White House that we're not going to eradicate this. We've only done that with smallpox. We're not going to eliminate that. That only happens with massive vaccination programs like we did with measles and with vaccines, but we ultimately will control it. And if you control it in a way, it's at such a low level and people are vaccinated and boosted, sooner or later, as we begin to live with it, what she was referring to is that virtually everybody is going to wind up getting exposed and likely get infected. But if you're vaccinated and if you're boosted, the chances of you getting sick are very, very low.
I wish you would talk to your colleagues over there. They ought to hide their heads on a bag. They're in charge of protecting American civil liberties and privacy, and it doesn't matter who you are. And they sat there sucking on their teeth like a bump on a log and never said a word. I'm done. Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, and I like your haircut.
Haven't had one in a while. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. And I'd just like to say to those who are new to this environment that the mini bar exam that Senator Kennedy gives to many of these witnesses reminds me of my anxiety in law school, where I sat in the last row and slumped down to the point where I have curvature of the spine in the hopes that I wouldn't be called on to answer what 15B is or anything like that. But nevertheless, always entertaining and always well presented. The second objection made by the senator relates to your lack of candor. On this side of the table, we're a different branch of government than what you're aspiring to, by and large. And we have opinions on everything and express them willingly, particularly if it's televised, and very seldom hold back. We know that on the judicial side, the opposite is true. You don't want to put yourself on the record in a situation that may disqualify you from a case, and the frustration Senator Kennedy feels with some of your lack of candor, we felt on the Democratic side with the other administration. It is by nature a reflection on the branches of government being a little different in philosophical approach, to say the least. So before I adjourn today, I want to thank you for cooperation and patience, especially to Caroline and Jamie. Are they still back there? Good. Good job, kids. Questions for the record will be due to the nominees by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, January 19th, and the record remains open until that time to submit letters and similar materials. And with that, this hearing stands adjourned.